Today's lesson, the truth about CDI College.
That right there is unethical. They're selling something that isn't correct.
A career college becomes a school of hard knocks.
In a lot of aspects, it broke me.
We go undercover to investigate.
I'm glad you could make it.
Why are students and experts giving a failing grade?
But the examples that you provided here are pretty abysmal.
Don't go anywhere. Class is in session on your marketplace.
Turn this on.
We are undercover,
Looks like we are in business.
investigating CDI College with more than 20 campuses like this one and 14,000 students.
Hi.
Do you have an appointment?
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest private career colleges in the country,
This is a PSW classroom.
with many studying online. And at the helm is President and CEO Peter Chung, a Vancouver-based entrepreneur and philanthropist who oversees a private education empire. But we find hundreds of poor reviews across multiple sites. And many online students tell us their higher ed was a huge letdown.
Wasn't organized. It just seemed very chaotic.
The subjects are outdated stuff taken out of high schools.
The students, we were basically teaching ourselves.
The problems, we're told, can start at the very first step, on the phone with CDI admissions.
Thank you for calling CDI College.
So we're posing as prospective online students, putting the college to the test on 3 different subjects: accreditation, the hard sell, and the cost of dropping out. And taking notes about anything else that happens along the way.
All right, welcome everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Good to see you. So, we're gonna be talking today about something, and that something is CDI College.
Jennifer Adamak, Sharon Stewart, and Michelle Penner are former CDI students.
You guys heard of them?
Unfortunately.
Yep.
They each sign up for online programs that cost more than $15,000.
Give me one word to describe your experience.
Horrific.
Disgusting.
Unethical.
Harsh criticism, but they say their careers and thousands in student loan debt are at stake.
Take a look at some of these photos we got here.
When Jennifer gets laid off from her technician job, she decides she's ready for a career change.
When you're constantly tearing down or assembling and torquing, it gets hard on the body, so my shoulder was really feeling it.
She contacts CDI in the summer of 2021, and after talking to admissions, settles on the HR and payroll coordinator program.
So you were pretty excited about getting into...
I was very excited about this.
But before enrolling, she wants to confirm the program is accredited.
I was going back and forth with her. They promised me it was accredited and recognized. It felt like it was going to be a good fit.
You're doing this because you want to change your life.
Professor Glenn Jones of the University of Toronto is an expert in higher education. He says accredited programs can give students an advantage.
The notion is that program has to meet a minimum standard. If it meets that standard according to the accrediting body, it becomes accredited, and that credential has greater value within the system.
That greater value is what Jennifer is banking on as she starts the program in the fall.
When did you start to have doubts about what you were hearing and whether the program
It was pretty well the first week I started doubting.
Jennifer's invested thousands in the program before finally hearing the truth. Only 3 out of the 20 courses are backed by a third party.
Jen, I want to give you this to take a look at. You'll probably be familiar with that. It's an email to you from CDI that says, the overall program itself is not accredited. What did you feel like when you read that email?
I was very upset. I cried. I was depressed for a good couple months, too, after it.
She's not alone. Jennifer records this call with other students complaining to CDI staff.
She kept on assuring me that this course was accredited and recognized.
My enrollment person told me the same, that this was an accredited program.
Same here. It's the only reason I joined.
And just listen to how this employee responds.
If we don't have any evidence or anything in writing, how are we going to know that that rep exactly says this or not, right?
So, to find out what students are told before they enroll, we call CDI admissions ourselves.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I see that you're inquiring for human resources and payroll coordinator.
Yep, that's Jennifer's program. First, we want to hear about accreditation.
The HR and payroll program, is it like accredited? Is it recognized?
Oh, of course. We never offer any programs where it's not accredited or recognized.
We give these former students a chance to watch along.
Wow.
I told you if you called them, they would say it.
Our students in Ontario are working in this field who took the same program online, completely finished it, working in this field, and of course they get a job only because it's an accredited program.
Just like Jennifer, we're told her program is accredited. We're also given incorrect information about the Child and Youth Services Worker program Sharon enrolled in.
So there's no accrediting association for child and youth services. So meaning there's no accreditation at all, so you can just work.
That's not true. We find an accrediting body, but CDI isn't on its list.
That right there is unethical. They're selling something that isn't correct.
How much does it cost?
We ask about the online paralegal program too.
Is the program accredited?
It is. It's approved by the Law Society for Upper Canada. Why don't we book a time for you to come in and see me?
But when we go to meet the admissions rep in person,
Hi.
Do you have an appointment?
Yeah.
the story about accreditation changes.
The Law Society dictates that the courses that are specific from the Law Society have to be taught in person.
Okay.
He means the Law Society of Ontario. CDI is on its list of accredited programs, but only for in-person study. It does not accredit the online program we're interested in. Now, he's steering us toward in-class study.
I kind of talked a lot about the fact that I wanted to do it online. So I'm a little surprised that you're telling me now that I can't do it online now that I've come all the way in here.
In fact, we find none of the online programs we ask about are accredited. So, what does CDI have to say? They don't address the details of our findings. After we reach out, they do remove the accreditation page on their site. They add they have a dispute resolution process for dissatisfied students. But that process doesn't satisfy Jennifer. She withdraws from her program earlier this year and is on the hook for about $4,600.
I'm pretty upset about it, especially too, like I wasted 2.5 months in that program, learned nothing.
How have you dealt with that range of emotion?
In a lot of aspects, it broke me.
It did.
Yeah. I felt pretty alone for a while.
Why do you feel compelled to speak out now?
I don't want other people to make the same mistake.
All three admissions reps give us false information about accreditation. Next up, we're investigating the hard sell.
We're here in Calgary to meet up with a former employee of CDI College. Let's see what he's got to say.
I'm Adam Pollock, and my job at CDI is an Assistant Director of Admissions.
That was his official title, but Adam says his job was all about recruitment.
That role is essentially, it's a telemarketing role, and it's made brutally obvious to you when you show up for orientation day one.
How so?
Well, you're walking into a call center with hundreds of people on the floor.
Adam starts in the summer of 2020, but quits after about a year and a half because of the stress of it all.
What kind of employer was CDI?
Horrible.
Were there targets? Were there quotas as well?
The targets were minimal 2 enrollments a week.
Okay, so how many calls are you making to try to...
Minimal 100 calls a day.
100 calls a day? Yeah. Was it completely commission-based?
No, it was, you had a small base, a very small base, and then commission on top of that. It was 2% commission.
What would happen to people who couldn't produce?
They'd be fired.
Do you believe CDI College recruiters misled students?
A lot of them, yes, absolutely.
CDI doesn't directly address Adam's allegations, but tells us recruiters may do things the company doesn't condone. But Adam says the focus on enrollment is part of the culture.
I understand that there were kind of gifts that folks would get.
Oh, you mean these dog tags?
Tell me about that. What is that?
So after 1 year of service with them, they wanted an Army. They've got the school name there, and when
CDI
we start,
College.
Yep. and your name, when you started, and how much in tuition dollars you brought into the school.
That's over $780,000.
So were the tactics high pressure?
Absolutely.
Time to see if those reps use high-pressure tactics to get us to enroll. Back at the college, the paralegal recruiter gives us an impressive stat.
80 to 85% of all of our graduates find jobs in the field that they study in. It's across all the programs.
Okay.
That's not true. In Ontario, only about 34% of CDI's in-person graduates actually find work in their field. Coming up, will the other recruiters play it straight or turn up the heat?
This is a lie.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
And we reveal the truth about the cost of dropping out.
I owe the entire tuition now.
Do you have a story you think Marketplace should investigate next? Tell us all about it on email, Twitter, and Facebook. This is your Marketplace. Marketplace is taking you to school.
School will get paid for the education you receive.
Investigating one of the biggest players in for-profit higher education, CDI College. CDI says it's transforming lives by providing a superior education, but many students tell us it doesn't make the grade.
My fellow classmates called it clown school.
So far, the recruiters give us incorrect information about accreditation and job prospects. And now, we're on to the hard sell, pressure to enroll.
Only for the month of August, if you want to start the program August 29th, there is a scholarship of $6,000. So what that means is once you complete the program, we'll give you a check of $6,000. You have to take the program August 29th if you want to, save that money.
Why does it have to be like a coupon where it has an expiry date?
What I heard that person say that I thought was ridiculous was the notion that you're going to get this after you complete the program. In other words, it's not a scholarship designed to help you fund the program and get you through. It's like a reward at the end for completion.
Whatever you're paying, students make that money in a couple of months.
All in, the program costs about $20,000. Not easy to make in just a couple of months, according to our expert.
Absolutely not. This is a lie.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
They're selling you a false dream. It's a fairy tale.
And even when we flag issues with meeting the sobriety requirement for the Child and Youth Services Worker Program.
One thing, important thing is you need to be sober for the past 24 months. So have you been sober for the past 24 months?
No, not really.
She still tries to enroll us.
Day drinking or occasional drinking is fine.
Okay. I've struggled a little bit with some weed and what did you say? Okay. That's okay?
Yeah, but what about illegal drugs? No?
Once in a while?
Later, our producer is told she is a perfect fit and is accepted into the program.
So that's disgusting. Yeah, a drug addict going what with drug addicted kids? Doesn't matter.
Would you assume that, admitting to doing illegal drugs is a red flag or a sobriety requirement?
I would certainly say so.
Just in Ontario, CDI receives tens of millions in student grants and loans each school year. But what happens when students withdraw? That's our final test, the real cost of dropping out.
If I have to stop, am I am I on the hook for the whole amount, or how does that work?
No, you start the program, the school will get paid for the education you receive.
They all say we only pay a portion of the fees if we withdraw early. They don't tell us CDI can demand the full tuition for our programs once you complete a certain amount. Some learn that the hard way.
All right, so we have just touched down in Winnipeg, here to meet another CDI student. Let's go meet her.
Carly Hall receives life-altering news while enrolled in CDI's Social Services Worker Program in fall 2021.
I was diagnosed with cervical cancer, so it was a bit of a shock. My first thought was, am I gonna die in my 20s?
How did it affect your studies?
A lot, because it was just so hard to concentrate Every time I would open my laptop and start doing something, I would have a minor panic attack, and then my brain would just turn to fog.
She tells CDI about her diagnosis and asks if she can take some time off while she undergoes treatment. They say that's not possible.
What options did they give you?
I was given either I work through and try my hardest, I drop out, or I don't log in for 10 days and my name would technically be blacklisted. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can push through the treatment, which was every single day, 5 days a week during the week, and then focus everything on the weekends to try and finish my school instead of resting.
Carly withdraws and then gets more bad news. CDI says she owes the full tuition after about 4 months of school.
This amount is based on the refund policy, which says they can charge you the full tuition if you complete 30% of instruction hours. How much percentage of the course did they say you completed?
32.3%. I owe the entire tuition now.
That's just over $19,000. We asked CDI about Carly's case. They don't address it directly.
To essentially not approve a leave request that seems like legitimate, and then to use that as a tuition grab seems pretty unfair to me.
You know, we've shown you all of this. What stands out to you?
I mean, I think the lack of transparency, the misinformation, for me, the notion of any sort of recruitment arrangement where someone gets fired if they don't recruit so many students a week, that's ridiculous.
Hey.
Hi, Travis.
For weeks, we've been in contact with CDI.
What have we sent them?
We sent them everything now. So
Really?
we told them about the student complaints.
Asking repeatedly for an on-camera interview with President and CEO Peter Chung. They refuse, saying no one is available. They do send us statements acknowledging there have been issues and they are continuously working to improve. But for Chung, some of these issues aren't new. His business roots go back to California, where he started Wilshire Computer College. The state sued Chung and others in the early 90s, alleging more than 10,000 violations, including misleading students. The judgment ordered $12 million in restitution.
My name is Margaret Reiter, and in 1991, I was a Deputy Attorney General with the California Attorney General's office.
She was part of the team that launched the lawsuit.
The court said that the case involved a long-lasting, persistent pattern of fraud, and went on to say affecting thousands of individuals and costing them thousands of dollars.
In the past, Chung has said publicly that he did nothing wrong. After closing up shop in the US, he eventually moves to Canada and becomes the head of CDI. But there have been controversies with his education company, Emanata Group, and its schools here, too.
CDI won't give us an interview, so we're going to reach out to CEO Peter Chung again.
Wait while I transfer your call.
Mr. Chung, it's Travis Danresch from CBC Marketplace. I know that you are aware that we've been trying to get in touch with you or anyone from CDI to sit down for an on-camera interview about our investigation. We'd like to give you another opportunity to talk to us on camera.
Your message has been sent.
Meantime, these former students have their own message for CDI and its leader.
What would each of you, if you could speak to Peter Chung, say?
I say you owe a lot of people a full refund.
He has no idea the damage and the repercussions of this.
You see you sitting back there thinking about carefully what you'd like to say.
I don't think I can say on TV what I would like to say to Peter Chung.
And on that note, class dismissed.